Command Point is sponsored by Crossfire Games. Use code CommandPoint25 at checkout to get 5% off your next purchase. Link in the description. From Kill Team Tomb World, very special thank you to Games Workshop for sending us this advanced review copy. Shane, we are both very excited about both of these teams. In this video today, we're going to be talking about the Canoptek Circle. Also today, we are going to be having the Deathwatch Kill Team video out as well. So once you're done watching this, go over and watch that as well, because that team they look sick. I mean, it's Deathwatch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but so let's get stuck in with the Canoptek Circle here. All right, great. So Shane, do you want to take us through the operatives list?
Yeah, of course. So this seems to me like it's you're gonna run the same. I mean, you're gonna run the same list every time. The only differences are gonna be the three warriors. So um you got your Geomancer, who's the leader. We know about him already from like the previews. Two tomb crawlers, which are the big scorpion bug guys. Um that can take either twin Gauss Reapers with their claws or a trans-dimensional isolator with their claws. We'll get into those.
Yeah.
We've got an accelerator and a reanimator, although these are a little different from the Hyrotech versions. They're more like complete um, like troops rather than little bugs. And then we've got three warriors, and the warriors can either have a Gauss scalpel with their claws and tail, or a Tesla caster with their claws and tail. And it does note that if you with the two tomb crawlers, only one of them can have a trans-dimensional isolator. Um, and for archetypes, they're going to be having recon and security.
Where do we want to get started here, Shane? I guess we should get started with their faction rule, right?
The matrix, the nodes.
Yeah, this is kind of, it doesn't really seem like it's very confusing, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of steps, it feels like, to be setting this up. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the text for it. As a strategic gambit in the first turning point, place your 3 obelisk node markers wholly within your territory. As a strategic gambit in each turning point after the first, you can move your obelisk node markers up to 3 inches each. Your obelisk markers control other markers within 1 inch of them that no enemy operatives can test, so you treat them as friendly operatives for controlling objectives. If more than one player would use their node markers to control the same marker, then no node markers control it. Whenever one of your node markers is within 6 inches horizontally of another one of your node markers, those markers in the area between them create an obelisk node matrix above and below. In other words, their height in the kill zone is irrelevant. If all 3 of your obelisk node markers fulfill this, it creates a larger combined obelisk node matrix. Whenever a friendly Canoptek Circle operative is within your obelisk node matrix, weapons on its data card have the accurate 2 weapon rule, and you add 1 to its APL stat.
That's pretty good. I like that it's any weapons. It's not just like shooting or melee. That's pretty cool. This is a hard one to make sense of without playing it a bunch,
Yeah.
because on the on the page it sounds kind of easy to set up your matrix, and there's multiple use cases for it off the like top of my head, like obviously controlling objectives, like I could see a lot of people plopping a node on their back objective, but also I can see wanting to move your nodes into where like the combat situations are,
Mm.
just because you want your models benefiting from the matrix as much as possible. But pretty interesting.
I feel like we should move on to the models first and then talk about strategy and firefight ploys and equipment after.
Yeah, we can hit the models.
Okay.
So I can start with the Geomancer here, who is
Yeah.
your Cryptech. So unlike Hyrotech, there's only one leader. There's only one Cryptech you can choose, and it's the Geomancer. So he is stat wise, he's just like all the other Cryptechs. 3 APL, 6-inch move, 3 up save, 14 wounds. Notably, I mean, if the Geomancer's on the Matrix, I don't see why he wouldn't have 4 APL, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and then he's got for his weapons a shooting and a melee profile. And the shooting profile actually has 2 profiles. So there's the Tremor Glaive, the Part Matter shooting profile, which is 4 and 3s, 4, 5, piercing 1, and then piercing crits 2. That's solid. It's like a crack grenade, but long range, and with the upside if you get a crit, it's P2. And then the Quake profile, which is 6 attacks on 3s, 1/3, blast 2 inches, seek light, and stun. So that's pretty cool right there. I like that. It reminds me a little of the Chronomancer, where you have the choice between the piercing gun and the blast gun, but for the Geomancer, he just gets both in one gun. Um, just like worse versions. But Seek Light is, I mean, pretty cool. 6 shots, especially on ITD. I just think this gun's going to go kind of hard.
Yeah.
Um, and on the Tomb World maps too. And then the melee profile of the Tremor Glaive, it's called Sweep. 4 attacks on 4s, 4, 5, severe shock stun. Severe shock stun is awesome. I mean, you just, as long as you get one hit, it's going to be shocking and stunning. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we like that. And hitting on 4s isn't great, but remember, if you're on the Matrix, you're going to have accurate too.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and severe still pairs with accurate. I believe it's the only thing that pairs with accurate still. So, I mean, this is pretty good. I mean, he's pretty much on par with like offensive wise is the Cryptex from Higher Tech Circle. But he's got his own abilities. So first of all, we got the obelisk node control. So whenever this operative will perform a mission action, if it requires this operative to control an objective marker, you can instead determine control from one of your obelisk node markers. Whenever this operative will perform the operate hatch action, you can open or close a hatchway. Its access point is within 1 inch of one of your obelisk node markers instead, and you still have to fulfill the operate hatch actions condition. So that's pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
you can, in theory, like just pop a node on your back objective or on a door,
Yep.
and this guy doesn't have to be near it. He can just do an AP to open it up. So I like that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Remote
Um,
access type
yeah,
beat going on here. And if you're in that matrix,
yeah. I mean,
this model's at 4 APL. You're like
for
doing
sure.
mission actions on your home objective for free, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Next up, so we have 3 unique actions. Although one of them, I'll start with Canoptek control, even though it's not the first one, because Canoptek control is basically it's like command that Higher Tech has, but it's a little bit better. So you select one Canoptek operative visible to and within 6 inches of the Geomancer, or they don't necessarily have to be visible within 6 inches of the Geomancer. They can just be visible and on the matrix, which is pretty cool. Um, that selected operative can immediately perform a 1 AP action for free, but it can't move more than 2 inches. So it's like command, but they can, first of all, they don't have to be within 6 of the Geomancer. They can be just visible on the matrix. And also, unlike command, it doesn't clarify that if you can have them do an action they've already done, and hand in hand with that, if you command somebody to do an action, they can still do that action again later. So whereas with higher tech, if you tell a guy to shoot, they can't shoot later, and they can't have already shot that turn. So pretty cool right there. Um, Next up, we got molecular breach. So this is a support ability. You select a friendly operative visible to within 6, or visible to and on the matrix. That's going to be a common theme with this team. The next time the operative you selected performs an action in which it moves, you don't move it. It basically you pick it up, set it up wholly within a distance equal to its move stat, or 3 inches if it was a dash. Measuring horizontal distance only, and you can in like Into the Dark or Tomb World, you can measure through the walls, which is
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't gain additional distance when you charge. It's kind of like other fly or teleport abilities. Um, so basically, you just pick a guy, and the next time that guy moves, they can teleport. effectively. They can go through walls, they measure horizontally, they kind of just fly. So that's pretty cool. And then the last thing that the Geomancer has is the Geomantic Disturbance. It basically select a point on a terrain feature. That point must be visible to and within 8 inches of this operative. Separately roll 2d6 for each operative within 2 inches of that point. And if the result is higher than that operative's remaining wounds, inflict damage on it equal to the difference. It has to be on a gauge to do it, though, and it can't be within control range of enemies. So that one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, like chip damage ability. Like, I mean, you have to be on a gauge to do it, so it's not super safe, but in its remaining wounds, so it's actually super good at finishing off
Yeah. I was gonna say.
enemies.
Yeah, if somebody's on like, oh gosh, I don't know, like 5 wounds or something like that, like you have a pretty
Yeah,
good
you might as
chance
well.
of just like straight up murking them with this. All right.
Yeah.
Lot of abilities on the Geomancer.
Yeah.
Shane, what do you think of this model?
I mean, off the rip, I kind of wish he had one more. I mean, it's crazy to say because there's so
That
much
is
on the
a
page.
crazy thing to say.
So I just comparing him to the Cryptex. All the Cryptex have command plus 3 unique abilities. This guy has command plus 2 unique abilities, or I guess unique actions. He does have the node control, which is pretty interesting. Um, his his like offensive output, like raw damage, isn't amazing, but um, he's more flexible, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
which is good because he's the only leader you can take. There's going to be a lot of comparisons to higher tech, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and I do like that, you don't give up a blast option by taking the piercing option. You just get both. And then the melee, it's not like incredible, but it's good damage. And with accurate 2 from being on the matrix,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's totally fine.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead now and talk about the Canoptek Tomb Crawler. 2 APL, 5-inch move, 3-up save with 21 wounds. A
Oh, and
whopping 21 wounds.
wait, Ryan, can I interrupt you really quick?
Absolutely.
One thing I forgot about the Geomancer, and that also applies to the Tomb Crawler, that I think is important to note, they are on 50 millimeter bases. They are absolutely
Yeah.
gigantic. I mean, you look at the Technomancer, who's like the one of the biggest models in the game right now, and the Geomancer is bigger. He's on a bigger base, and so are the Tomb Crawlers. So there's 3 guys on this team that are just absolute behemoths, and the 21 wounds here reflects that.
Yeah. So for weapons, we have the Twin Gauss Reapers, which have 2 different profiles. Focus profile is 5 attacks on 4s, damage 4/5 with piercing 1 and severe. The sweeping profile is 4 attacks on 4s, 4/5, piercing 1, severe, torrent 1. Uh, the other weapon option it has is the Trans-Dimensional Isolator. This is a 5-attack weapon hitting on 4s, damage 5/6 with the keyword Dimensional Banishment. I'll talk about that in one sec, but it is a very, very cool ability. And then it has Claws for melee, 4 attacks on 4s, damage 4/4. For its abilities, it has Weapon Sentinel. Whenever your opponent is selecting a valid target, if this operative has a conceal order, it cannot use light terrain for cover. While this can allow this operative to be targeted, assuming it's visible, it doesn't remove its cover save, if any. It has Steadfast. Whenever determining control of a marker, you can treat this operative's APL stat as 3. If you do, this takes precedence over all other rules, meaning any changes to its APL stat are ignored for this. And then lastly, we have that Dimensional Banishment weapon keyword on the Trans-Dimensional Isolator. After this operative uses this weapon, if you inflicted damage or retained any critical successes, if the target wasn't incapacitated, roll 2d6, and if the result is higher than the target's remaining wounds, the target is incapacitated. What do we think of that,
Wow.
Shane?
I mean, that's pretty wild. So, I mean, my first thought is you shoot a Marine with it, And let's say you only get one of the hits through, so you do 5 damage, and the Marine goes from, let's say, 14 to 9 wounds. The odds of killing them automatically after that is not like super high, but it's,
Yeah.
it exists. But if you get 2 hits through and you bring them down to 5 wounds or 4 wounds, they're almost definitely dead. And at that point, the weapon might as well have piercing too. Um, Against lower wound things, this is somewhat interesting because I mean, if you get 1 hit through, they're just dead. Like unless you roll double ones, snake eyes on the 2d6.
Yeah.
Um, Against 8 wound stuff, it's basically the same. Like a lot of the time, if you get 1 hit through with this weapon, you're getting a kill. Except against elites, where you probably need 2 to get the kill. But I mean, think of like a Melta. Melta, if you get 2 hits through against a Marine, it's not dying. Usually, it'll probably make the 1/3 up and then live. Even if you get 2 hits without a crit, like even if they fail, they're gonna live on if they have 14 wounds. So this gun, if you get 2 hits through, they're probably dead. Like getting a 5 up on 2d6, um, that's pretty wild. Obviously, we're going to talk about Death Watch in the other video, but uh, they have a little more wounds, and the math gets a little different there. But this gun's great. I think
Yeah.
you have to look at it, you know, as being like a Melton. It's got 5 attacks, so really good.
All right, Shane, you want to talk about the Canoptek macro site warrior?
So this is like the grunt type operative, and these guys are really interesting. So stat wise, they're 2 APL, 7-inch move, which is really cool, 4 up save, not bad, and 7 wounds. They have 2 options for their shooting. There's the Gauss Scalpel, which is 4 attacks on 4s, 3/4, piercing 1, and the Tesla Caster. So the focus profile of the Tesla Caster is 5 attacks on 4s, 2/3, just flat. It's like a las gun with 5 attacks. And then there's the Living Lightning, which is the exact same thing, but with blast 2 inches. Actually, I don't know why. I guess it's nice that there is a non-blast option because you might want to get within 2 inches and shoot sometimes. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Um, and then they get claws and tail, 4 attacks on 4s, 3/4. And a lot of this hits on 4s, but you got to remember if you're on the Matrix, you have accurate too. Unless you have like a crit rule, it's not the worst thing in the world to go up with accurate too. All right, so they have the expendable construct rule, which is I think uh, for starters, it's basically like these guys are ignored for kill op.
Yep.
Um, they are ignored for victory conditions that require them to escape, survive, or be incapacitated. So right off the bat, that means this is basically a 5 operative team for kill op. So because there's 3 warriors. But the really interesting thing here is a ceaseless scuttling rule. As a strategic gambit in each turning point after the first, if you have less than 3 non-incapacitated friendly warrior operatives, you can set up another one ready and with a conceal order wholly within your drop zone. And you can select its weapon options as normal. So you can actually change the weapons. That's interesting. But just the fact
Yeah.
that this is the first instance we've ever seen of this mechanic, Ryan, where you have these like grunt models, and if you're missing any, you can bring one back, which I mean, I
That
love that.
that's just value.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's also on top of that got the aggressive defense rule. And if it's incapacitated by an enemy operative within 2 inches of it, you roll a d3. On a 2 up, you inflict damage on that operative equal to the result. So 66% chance you do 2 or 3 damage if something kills you within 2 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're coming back to life.
Yeah.
I mean, these are like the ultimate grunts in the game, right? Because
Yeah.
and it's actually kind of a shame that like the nodes have this ability where they can control objectives like a back objective, because I mean you can really throw one of these warriors on the back objective and it's like
Yeah.
that's
That.
kind of like perfect.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, Shane. Because it's like you can do that. You can have the node back on your home objective, and not have to worry about it. But why do that when you can afford to be super aggressive? Have the node matrix move up with your Geomancer, with your tomb crawlers, get that full benefit, and then just have some of these guys when they die come back and hold that. So you can like, I feel like with this team you'll be able to like push into the center of the board and not really have to like give anything up on the back line.
Yeah, and I mean, think about on some games, like you're gonna want one of these. If you have all three alive, you might want one of them to die
Yeah.
because you want to pivot a body over to like the other side of the board.
Hmm.
Like especially if you're on Into the Dark or Tomb World. Like let's say you have one flank that's kind of like looking weak, or you want to like reinforce it. You might want to just throw one of these warriors up and just let them die, and then your next turn you're gonna get a body on the other side of the board, like right where you need it, full health and everything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think this is really good. These are fantastic.
All right, so I'm going to take a look here at the macro site Accelerator. It has the same basic stats as the Warrior, it looks like. It's got Spark for a ranged weapon, 4 attacks on 4s, damage 2, 3, range 4, piercing 1. And then it has Claws and Spark for its melee weapons, 3 attacks on 4s, damage 3, 4, lethal 5 up, stun. It has 2 unique actions that it can perform. One is Overcharge. Select one other friendly Canoptek circle, Canoptek operative visible to and within 3 inches of this operative. Alternatively, if this operative is within your node matrix, you can select one other friendly operative or one other friendly Canoptek operative within your node matrix. Until the end of that selected operative's next activation, add 1 to its APL stat. And then we have Cranial Overload for 1 AP. Select one enemy operative visible to and within 3 inches of this operative. Alternatively, if you are within the node matrix, you can select an enemy operative that is also within the node matrix. Until the end of that operative's next activation, subtract 1 from its APL stat. So you got one ability that gives a model plus 1 APL. You got another ability that takes 1 APL away from an enemy model. This model is baseline 2 APL, but if you're in the node matrix, and it looks like you want to be with both of these abilities chaining off of that, you'll really be at 3 APL, so you'll be able to, I don't know, do a move or do a shooting attack, do your
Well,
overcharge, and then do your cranial overload if you would like.
there's something weird about this. So the overcharge rule, I don't know if this is an oversight, um, but the overcharge, if you can give a guy APL if they're on the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the problem with that is if they're on the matrix, they already have plus 1 APL,
And you can't stack that.
and it doesn't stack. So that's kind of like a worthless rule, right? Like that's nothing. I think that's like kind of an oversight, right? There's got to be some use case for that I'm missing,
Yeah,
because right
that's
now it just looks like a
interesting.
plus 1 AP, like a 3-inch comms. Like I think that actually is like that must have gotten missed because it doesn't do anything. Weird,
Yeah.
but okay, I will say the spark, that 4-on-4 is 2-3, piercing 1. That's the same kind of shooting that the accelerator has for higher tech.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't look like much, but it does. Those weapons kind of do work for me, I will say. Like, especially you get some reroll, some accurate in there. Um, piercing 1, 2, 3. It's nice chip damage. Um, and I guess we'll move on to the reanimator because he has the same gun as the higher tech reanimator. So again, it's the same stat line, and then he's got the atomizer beam. So it's 4-on-4s, 3-4, 6-inch range, lethal 5. So it's a 6-inch range bolt gun with lethal 5 that hits on 4s. Um, I've definitely had games with higher tech where my accelerator and reanimator like double teamed the marine at the end of the game and just like both shot them and almost killed them. You get some rerolls in there and it's not that bad. But it's also got the claws and tail. 4-on-4 is 3-4. That's one thing that the higher tech accelerator and reanimator don't have is like worthwhile melee. I do think it's interesting that the reanimator has 4 attacks, whereas the accelerator has 3 attacks. One is lethal 5 stun with 3 attacks, I guess, so it kind of evens out.
Yeah.
Um, the reanimator has the reanimate ability, so this is not to the extent of higher tech reanimation. I'll say that up front. This is more like a medic ability. So once per turning point, when another friendly Canoptek Circle operative would be removed from the kill zone as incapacitated, if that operative is visible to and within 6 inches of this operative, or if this and that operative are within your matrix, you can use this rule, providing neither this nor that operative is within control range of an enemy operative. If you do, that friendly operative is not incapacitated and has 1 wound remaining, and it can immediately perform a free dash action. Um, and if it's used during that operative's activation, it ends. Um, so this is like a really good medic ability because you don't necessarily need to be within 6 inches of the guy that died. You could just be on the matrix along with the guy that died, which means that, like, you can have some really asymmetrical situations here where, like, you just kind of, I mean, unless you charge and fight, you just can't kill that operative. Um, which, and it, the reanimator might not be anywhere near. It could be like 18 inches away, technically. If your matrix is like extending the full distance. So that's pretty crazy. But it's only once per turning point. This is not like a higher tech thing where everybody comes back to life all the time. Just the warriors, and you have this really good reanimate ability. It also has the nano scarab beam for 1 AP. As an action, you select a friendly canoptek circle operative visible to within 6 inches, or you guessed it, if this operative is within the matrix, you can select another friendly operative in the matrix and heal them 3d3. You just can't heal an operative that was reanimated that same turn. So that's pretty cool. 3d3 is really good, especially because you have like these
Yeah.
21 wound guys floating around.
Oh my god, yeah.
I like it. I mean, before we get into the ploys, I just got to say, this is like the most top heavy team we've ever had, right?
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's really interesting. This is a very tall kill team, like taller than Raveners.
Yeah, because like even higher tech, like it's six pretty useful guys and then two like helpers. This team is like three monsters and then like
Yeah,
five dorks.
just grunts.
And yeah, and like we've not had a team like that before, really, like
Yeah.
to this degree.
Hmm.
So I mean, the Geomancer and the Tomb Crawlers are gonna have to carry a lot of weight, I think, if you want to win games with this team. But do we want to get into the ploys then?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start off here with the strat ploys. I'll talk about hyper shielding. So hyper shielding, whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Canoptek circle operative, if your node matrix is intervening or that friendly operative is within your node matrix, you can reroll any of your defense dice results of one result. I don't know how often I use this. I mean, I feel like I gotta be kind of desperate to be using this.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how often you're getting shot.
Yeah. And if there's like piercing or anything in there, it's like how many defense
I'll
dice am I
say like
rolling?
my experience with sanctifiers is like defense reroll ploys where you're rerolling any of one result.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels pretty good when you're rerolling all of one result, and that's with 5-up saves. So I mean, you got guys with 3 and 4-up saves here. That could feel really good if they don't have piercing. Like they might have a
Yeah.
really hard time, shooting through you.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty good.
All right.
Next up, transdynamic amplification. Whenever a friendly Canoptek Circle operative is shooting, if your node matrix is either intervening or if the target is within the matrix, your weapons have the ceaseless weapon rule. So either it's intervening, which is, I mean, you can be on it yourself and it'll be intervening just by
Mm-hmm.
nature, um, or the enemy's on it, then ceaseless shooting is pretty good. I mean, you've got a lot of shooting that's on fours, like most of your shooting that's on fours outside of
Yeah.
the Geomancer, I think.
Yeah, Geomancers hitting on threes. It looks I think everything else hits on fours for shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the entire
And you're
rest of the
also going to
team.
be, yeah, you're going to be pairing this with accurate two.
Yeah.
So accurate two ceaseless on a lot of guns that, most of these guns don't really have crit rules. So, stuff like the dimensional isolator with, 5, 6 damage, you just want to get hits through. You don't care that much about crits.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, that's really good. That's good shooting if you can set that up.
Yeah, you're absolutely nuking stuff with accurate too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up we have cryptographic repulsion. Once per action, the first time an enemy operative would move within your matrix, the distance is treated as an additional 1 inch. Note this means that enemy operative doesn't have sufficient, excuse me. Note this means if that enemy operative doesn't have sufficient move distance, for example, it's at the end of its move, that operative cannot move within your node matrix.
It's like a little slow field if they want to cross
Yeah.
through.
hmm And it's per action. So if somebody moves into it and then they want to dash, then that's going to proc twice. So you're effectively negating 2 inches off of their
Hmm,
move that turn.
that's a good point. All right, I mean that's got to be decent, right? I mean, if you're able to move your matrix in a spot where like suddenly the enemy that had initiative is now out of range for the big play they wanted to make, that's
hmm
probably good.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so Soul Drain is the last strategic play. Whenever an enemy operative is within your node matrix, or whenever it's fighting or retaliating against a friendly Canoptek Circle operative that is within your node matrix, subtract 1 from both damage stats of that enemy operative's melee weapons to a minimum of 2 until the end of the activation/counteraction. Note this means that if the enemy operative moves through your obelisk node matrix, apply this change at the end of that move action until the end of the activation/counteraction. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, I mean, we're talking about damage reduction to a minimum of 2 in melee. Oftentimes against maybe 21 wound models. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you give them you have soul drain online and hyper shielding. Like, it could be really, really hard to punch through these tomb crawlers, and they might have the reanimator backing them up, ready to
hmm
revive them. So,
Yeah.
pretty good ploys here.
Yeah. Moving on now to the firefight ploys, we have animate obelisk nodes. Use this firefight ploy when it's your turn to activate or counteract. Move any number of your node markers instead. They can move up to 6 inches combined, and distances are always rounded up to the nearest inch. So if you move a marker 1.5, it's treated as moving 2. For example, you could move one marker 6 inches, three markers 1 inch, or any combination that doesn't exceed 6 inches of total movement. You can also move them 0 in order to, it says in parentheses, to effectively skip an activation. In any
Mm,
case, your opponent activates as normal afterwards. So that's, Shane, that feels so weird when it says in
yeah,
parentheses to effectively skip an activation. Like, I
it's
don't,
pretty good.
yeah, this is great.
I mean, they're kind of 9 activation team then, if you are willing to use this.
hmm
Um,
I,
I like that.
yeah,
It's going to be like good and bad because sometimes you're going to want to use it to stall, and sometimes you're going to want to use it and you're going to wish that you could not use it as an activation and like just do it before an activation because you just want to move your nodes and then do something really quick.
hmm
Um, but I like the extra flexibility to move the nodes around because only moving each of them 3 inches in the strat phase is not a lot. And I think it'll be nice to have the extra flexibility.
yeah. Any sort
Um,
of
yeah.
extra movement on those nodes is definitely going to be helpful.
hmm
Um, I feel like you mostly use this when it's your turn to counteract. You
Yeah,
try
I
you
mean, you could
try
do it
and
that
do it
way.
then. That way it's like, okay, I
That's a
can't
good point.
I can't really move anybody on my team anyways. I might as well better position my node matrix to either better protect my guys
Yeah.
or to just like set up for the next turn to kind of like stage for where I want to be moving the matrix. All right, so do you want to talk
Yeah.
about
And
shield flare, or I'm sorry, did you have something else?
yeah, and I was just going to add like nobody on this team can counteract on conceal. So like it is a way to do that,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like to get something out of that time. But yeah, shield flare, firefight ploy. So use this when an attack dice inflicts normal damage. If your node matrix is intervening, or that friendly operative is within your node matrix, ignore that inflicted damage. So this is just a scratch
Dude, how do you
situational.
kill anything on this team?
Very beefy.
This is this is fun.
Even the 7 wound guys are going to be pretty beefy.
Yeah, and you kind of want them to die
Um,
low key.
sometimes, yeah. I mean, that's you can't really say anything bad about this. I mean, a lot of this team is going to be it's kind of like with Raveners, where if you're on the tunnel, they're like unstoppable. With this team, if they're in the Matrix, what do you do?
Yeah.
They have a lot of ways to just like be really powerful.
Next up for Firefight ploys, we have Nodal Response. Use this Firefight ploy during a friendly Canoptek Circle operative's activation before or after it performs an action. You can either change one of the strategy ploys you use during this turning point, only pay additional CP if that ploy costs more, or use a strategy ploy now and you pay its CP cost as normal. So,
That's good.
yeah. Yeah, how would you see using this, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, the what comes to mind is if I think I'm going to get shot like early in the turn, maybe I'll have hyper shielding online,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll eat that shot, and then maybe there's not much more shooting that I'm worried about, and I can maybe pay a CP to flip it to soul drain
Oh, okay,
for
yeah.
melee damage reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or just turn on crypto gravitic repulsion to like keep an enemy out that was in before, like based on where I am now. That could be interesting. Also, it's this is kind of a sneaky thing that you might not think of initially, but against stuff like Inquisition, that let's say in the strategy phase you went to use hyper shielding, and they pay a CP and say no.
Ah.
Um, I believe I could be wrong, but I believe you could use nodal response to then get it.
You,
Maybe.
you can either change
I'd have
one
to
of the
read how
strategy
absolute
ploys.
authority works, but I think there's some flexibility there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I'd have to see. Like, you can't use the whole turn, I guess. But I don't know. There might be some sneakiness there.
Do you want to talk about Sacrificial Thrall?
Yeah. So use this firefight play when a Geomancer operative is selected as the valid target of a shoot action or to fight against during the fight action. Select a friendly Canoptek Circle Canoptek operative visible to and within 3 inches of that first friendly operative to become the valid target or to be fought against as appropriate instead, even if it wouldn't be normally a valid target for this. If it's the fight action, treat the other operatives being within the fighting operative's control range. This has no effect if the shoot action has blast or torrent. So it does call out, it has to be a Canoptek operative,
Yeah.
which, just for the record, that refers to the tomb crawlers, the warriors. I don't know why it even clarifies, because it's literally everything but the geomancer. Which obviously the geomancer wouldn't jump in front of his own shot. But um
Yeah.
yeah, it's just get down, Mr. President, for the
Mm-hmm.
geomancer. I mean, this is great. So, like, I don't think they have it anymore, but the last edition, Higher Tech Circle had this for the Cryptek, and you could have one of your other guys jump in front of the shot or something for the Cryptek. But I never wanted to do that because all the operatives felt so valuable. But we were talking about how top heavy this team is. I can actually see myself using Sacrificial Thrall and having like one of the warriors jump in front.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so I mean, this is probably pretty good. Honestly, the big problem here is I think almost all these ploys are like pretty useful,
They're
right?
very good. Yeah. They're very good. This
So
is
I
a
mean,
team
yeah,
that just has a lot of like defensive layers, it feels like. Um,
yeah.
all right, so let's wrap up here with equipment, and then we'll talk a little bit about just like the team
Mhm.
overall. We've got the Matrix Manipulator as our first piece of faction equipment. Once per battle during a friendly Canoptek Circle operative's activation or counteraction, you can use this rule. If you do, until the end of that activation or counteraction, a friendly Geomancer operative is treated as your fourth obelisk node marker.
Ooh,
Auto take,
pretty
auto
good. I
take
mean, once per
easy.
battle, it's just during one activation or counteraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that might be maybe. Yeah, I mean I think right now my gut take would be to take it, just
Yeah,
default. I think it just gives you a little bit of flexibility and like a key moment that you might want,
right.
and it can extend your matrix. So I like that.
All right, Shane, you want to talk about awakened obelisk nodes?
Yes. This is definitely an auto take. So after revealing this equipment option, roll a d3. You can use the animate obelisk node's firefight play for 0 CP a number of times during the battle equal to the result.
Yeah,
So holy crap,
that's
that's gigantic
that's a definite auto take.
because you need it. Even if just once, like even if you get it one time, that's 1 CP because that ploy is good enough and I think substantial enough where you can absolutely get major value out of using it every turn.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to use it turn one. Probably you don't need to do that. But um, maybe you will. I don't know. But like that is 1 to 3 CP, and it's not wasted CP because the ploy is that good. Like you will use it
Mm-hmm.
that amount of times. So I love it.
Yeah, and
That's an auto take for sure.
yeah, especially because all of the other ploys are so good. You're gonna want to have some CP to spend on all the other ones.
Yeah,
Uh, Next up here we have the Nano Scarab Caskets. Whenever a friendly Canoptek Circle operative is activated, it regains D3 lost wounds. Buddy.
auto take. That's an auto
Buddy.
take. I mean, I with Raveners, we know that's an auto take.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. This has more operatives, more wounds to be gained. 7 wound guys, D3 wounds coming back is pretty significant because there's a good chance it might take them from not injured to injured pretty often when you're triggering it. Yeah, you just take that. That's really good. And then I'll do Phase Shifter because this is a higher tech equipment piece. Um, Once per turning point, when an operative is shooting a Geomancer at the start of the roll defense dice step, meaning after you see your opponent's attack dice, you can use this rule. If you do, worsen the basically reduce the piercing by 1. Until the end of that sequence. This is once per turn. I absolutely love this with higher tech. This is one of my favorite pieces of equipment, especially if I'm playing against, obviously if I'm playing against a team that has piercing. Um, you're just gonna have like a like some melt-a-gun dork run up to you and shoot your Geomancer, and you're gonna reduce the piercing, and you might have just a scratch,
Mm.
and you're maybe you have hyper shielding online, so you're re-rolling your defense dice if you fail, and you're just going to eat shots, and then you're going to activate that guy, and he's going to heal, and he's going to shoot back, and it's just, yeah, I love Phase Shifter. This is really great. um I mean, this is 4 really good equipment pieces. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're all good. It's going to be hard. I mean, obviously with Phase Shifter against stuff that doesn't have piercing, you're not going to take it, but if you are in a matchup where Phase Shifter is good, you're gonna have a really hard time choosing to drop one of these, and it's harder now because you no longer, there's not a scouting equipment choice. There's not scouting anymore. You can't take a fifth
Right.
equipment piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you're just gonna have to make some tough choices here once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So I think we've established a few things about this team so far in this video, Shane. The team is very top heavy. The team
Yeah,
is very, very tanky. Um, might be like one of the tankiest teams we've seen, low key. And then like really the only thing that gives me like some concern is how focused it is on the matrix, on how everything keys off this matrix. The footprint of the matrix is at most,
it's like 18 inches. It's pretty huge.
yeah. So I mean that is like, let's say roughly a quarter of the board probably. Is that accurate? My spatial
Yeah, it's
awareness is not great right now with
it's
trying to factor in this thing.
3 markers. You can have, if they're within 6 inches of each other. Plus, each marker is probably going to be a little less than an inch like big.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I mean, unless if I'm guessing correctly, it's 18 inches plus give or take like almost 3, like maybe like 2.5, 2 point, little over 2.5 inches on top of that. So like 21 inches. It's pretty gigantic.
Okay, yeah, that is huge. Yeah.
And you get to move it all over the place all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like gonna be okay to manage. It's gonna suck when you're like the moment you're out of position. It's gonna be if your opponent's putting a lot of pressure on you. It's gonna be not fun to have to like shift everything back to like where you want it to be.
Yeah.
Um, but I think if you play it right, I have to imagine that this is it's fine. But it's hard to say without playing it a bunch.
Mhm.
Oh, and I think I did find the word, by the way, for or no, yeah. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained here because I'm still like racking my head around the fact that I'm pretty sure the Geomancer can go to 4 APL if he's on the Matrix.
Mhm.
And I think that is the case. I don't see anything
Yeah,
why that
I
says
think
it
so
wouldn't.
too. Yeah. I mean, so that kind of reminds me, like the with the way the overcharge ability on the Canoptek macro site accelerator, like the way it's worded, like it just says straight up, if the friendly model is within the node matrix until the end of that selected operative's next activation, add 1 to its APL stat. Just full stop. Does this take priority over the normal APL like rules? I personally don't think so. But then
Yeah, I
it's
don't see
like,
any
what's the
reason it
point in
would.
this ability? So definitely
I think
need
it,
like a
yeah.
day one FAQ from Games Workshop on this, I think.
It reads to me like an oversight. Maybe there's supposed to be. Maybe I just find it really unlikely you'd be able to add 2 APL to anything like that. That seems like it would be odd for that to
Yeah.
be the intent. Um, but yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of these guys like outside of the Geomancer and like the Tomb Crawlers. Yes, they have 5-inch movement. They're 2 APL, but put them on the Matrix and they're 3 APL with really good shooting. The melee is not awesome, but it's good enough if you're on the Matrix with accurate 2 4 4. And if you're on the Matrix, you might have damage reduction online. So they're 21 wounds with damage reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Um, the warriors themselves aren't bad in melee, and they blow up when they die.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like this team.
All right. Yeah. So Shane, I think that's gonna do it for our like initial first impressions of this team. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Command Point. Make sure to go and check out that Death Watch video I was talking to you about earlier. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all again in the next one.